Welcome to Backstreet Gossip. News talk, current events, and political commentary. And now, here's your host of Backstreet Gossip, Ron Ludders.
Thanks, Mom. I appreciate the applause. Anyway, welcome to the show tonight. You're watching Backstreet Gossip. We've got a little bit of a camera frame I'm trying to get down. Here, push that up.
Oh, I thought maybe I grew.
Push it up. Okay, we got it. We got it, Ray. Any rate, we're here and you're not. Any rate, we have on the line here, we have Kimmy Gonzalez from Florida, and we're going to give a dynamite report. And, of course, my buddy here in the Hawaiian shirt.
Aloha!
I don't know. I think that's the only shirt you own, isn't it? Is a Hawaiian shirt?
I like my Aloha shirts.
At any rate, his name is, he's got two first names, so be careful. Ray Michaels.
Hello, everyone.
And we've got a lot to talk about tonight because, first of all, we have Americans that are sitting in jails in Washington, D.C. and rotting away because some people thought that they were doing, quote, unquote, insurrection when they were actually at a rally. And we're going to deal with that because these are some people that have been locked up for at least 6 months now without being charged, Ray, and we're going to talk about that. And then a little later, we're going to talk about the Arizona audit. Don't you go away, because this is going to really be exciting when you start hearing what has been found and you see how the left is reacting to it. And we're going to have Randy Pullen, former chairman of the Arizona Republican Party here and a member of the RNC. And then we're going to have Alexander Koladin.
Yes.
And some of you might have seen his commercial on a little later. He helped sponsor the show, but there for a time he was an attorney for Sidney Powell.
Yes.
The Kraken.
Wow. Absolutely. I think he still's working behind the scenes on a lot of things.
He is. But before we do, I wanted to give a little shout out here to one of our new sponsors down the road here, and it's Pack Mail, and he is looking for some employees.
Yes, I think a lot of people are looking for employees, and they're out there. They just are getting paid more to not work.
So at any rate, I wanted to read this. Our friends at the Pack Mail, located at 3218 Bell Road, are looking to hire a packer delivery driver to help them out with all of the mail that they're getting. They've got a great starting salary by anyone's standards. I'm not going to talk about it because you call them and you guys get the information and ask them. But I'm surprised that they're paying this high to start when there's people sitting at home on unemployment and making more money than working people.
Yeah, that's something that we've talked about many times.
So at any rate, if you're interested, call them at 602-971-2300. That's, I always say 60. It's actually 602. 971-2300. It's easier to
and ask for
say,
a friend Mark over there.
It's right, but it's easier to say than it is a zero.
It is a zero.
So it's 602-971-2300.
And if you're familiar with the Metro Phoenix area, it's big. It's very, very big. So this is on East Bell Road, 3218 East Bell Road, in case you live on the west side.
Near the 51 freeway.
Very close to our offices.
And these are wonderful people. And I want to tell you, they vote the right way. So take it for what that's worth. If you're a Democrat listening, I guess that's the way they vote. And if you're one of our regulars, you know how they vote. So anyway.
I'll tell you what, with all these online shoppings, you always need a place to do your mailing. And this is such a convenient place.
And you can drop by and visit with us.
You can, yes.
And we'd love that. We'd love you to do that. Ray, we have Kimmy here. This woman, I don't know, she's remarkable because a week ago she was at the CPAC. She worked her way back home and immediately got into these rallies that were being held over the weekend with the Look Ahead America organization to help free some of the people that got hung up in this craziness that the Democrats have labeled as a armed insurrection.
Yeah. Hello, Kimmy.
Hello. Good evening, gentlemen.
How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Thank you for having me.
We've been so excited because you said that there were lots of events that were happening simultaneous. We had a big event here in Scottsdale, Arizona as well, and it turned out really well. I'm not sure if you've had an opportunity to talk to Matt at all about that,
yes.
but it was great. So tell us how things went over the weekend.
It was definitely a busy day. Saturday was emotional and powerful. We had rallies all together, including the Arizona rally that took place earlier in the week. We had a total of 10 rallies. 9 happened on Saturday simultaneously at 12 o'clock. So we had rallies in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, New York, New Jersey, Wyoming, Iowa, Texas, and the main rally in D.C. at the prison where our brothers and sisters are being held in solitary confinement, where our brave patriots are imprisoned right now. I would definitely describe it as a day of courage. Courage was front and center in the spotlight because it took courage to come out, to join, to participate in one of these rallies. Because as you've mentioned, this current administration thinks that we're all terrorists.
Yeah.
Well, I have a little saying that you might have heard me say last week, but I like to say this when you use the word courage because it's an important word in our language, and that is that fear is a reaction, courage is a choice. So for these people to go there and stand up to the United States government and say, this is not allowed in our country. If they're guilty, charge them with something, take them to court, and get it over with. Either they're guilty or they're not guilty. But don't just hold them, put many of them in solitary confinement, and just pretend like you're doing the right thing. You're not doing the right thing, Pino Joe and the Democrats that are in charge of this. And, of course, you are aware, I think, as our audience should be aware, that the one that's in charge of Capitol security is Nancy Pelosi because she's the Speaker of the House.
Right.
And she's not moving this thing through for political purposes. So these are, in fact, Kimmy, political prisoners.
Oh, yes.
So,
they're pawns in this charade.
So, Kimmy, for those of you who are joining us for the first time and you're maybe not familiar with lookaheadamerica.org or Kimmy, we had Kimmy on the show last week. She told us a little bit about the organization. And basically, we live in the best country in the world, in my opinion.
Bar none.
And,
yes.
And we have certain rules and certain regulations constitutionally that we get a chance to face our accuser. We get a speedy trial.
We don't have to testify against ourselves.
Right. We don't have to self-incriminate ourselves. We have lots of rights that we have here. Unfortunately, this has been blown so out of proportion. They've called this an insurrection, although people were not armed.
They called it an armed insurrection.
Right. They said that people died, and the only person that died was shot by a Capitol police officer. So there's a lot of misinformation that is out there. But Kimmy, can you bring us up to speed on lookaheadamerica.org and what the basic foundation is for this organization?
Yes. So Look Ahead America was started to fight for election integrity. We are focused on voter registration, voter education, and strengthening the elections so that what happened in November does not happen again, and that when you cast a ballot, that ballot, you can trust it. You can trust that it is being counted as a legal vote. Every vote counts. Every legal vote counts, and I want to stress that. So that is the basis of the organization. We are a volunteer-led organization. We have a very small paid staff, and everything that we do is through the time and talent of our volunteers. In January, following the event at the Capitol on the 6th, our director, Matt Brainerd, sent a letter to the Department of Justice and the FBI demanding that the political prisoners, that the charges be dropped and that they be released from prison. And that letter went unanswered. It was just crickets. And a few months went by and still nothing was being done. Instead, we were watching as our fellow brothers and sisters were just being rounded up on the streets. And so we took a step out of the comfort zone. And in June, we held our first rally outside of the Department of Justice, demanding that once again the charges be dropped and these nonviolent prisoners be released. Nothing. Crickets. So we took it another step further and held the rallies that we did on Saturday. So we are very much focused on America first, preserving America, America first, America forever, and protecting our country. And if that requires us to step outside of our comfort zone, we're going to do it. We don't sit behind a desk and talk about it. And we can't do these things without volunteers. And I would just like to ask that your listeners, if you've got the time, you've got the talent, please sign up to volunteer on our website, lookaheadamerica.org/volunteer. And if you don't think you have the time and the talent, please go to our website, lookaheadamerica.org/donate, because those donations will allow us to continue to fight, to equip us for this fight.
Right. Well, we're talking to Kimmy Gonzalez from lookaheadamerica.org, and it's such an amazing organization that you have. Like you said, we had 9 simultaneous events that were happening, and just while you were speaking, and I truly believe in our Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the foundation that our founding fathers brought forward. So I went to Google. You can go to any place, but I just put right to redress grievances. Here's what it says. The right to petition government for redress of grievances is the right to make a complaint to or seek the assistance of one's government without fear of punishment or reprisal. And this right can be traced back to the Bill of Rights, 1689, the Petition of Rights, 1628, and the Magna Carta, 1215. Now, Ron, certainly you can see it plain as day like everybody else can. Is this really what our government is about?
No, Ray, it's interesting. It is the First Amendment to our Constitution for a reason. And in reality, why did we break away from England? Because England was not honoring those rights that we had. Remember, we were all British, not us, but I mean our ancestors were all British. They violated those rights. Our founding fathers broke away from England for that very reason, that they were abusing that privilege. And now our own government is violating our rights.
But these rights
Correct.
do not come from the government.
They come from God.
Right. So do you feel that our government not acknowledging God and trying to put themselves in the position of God to make these decisions? Do you think that's kind of what we're dealing with right now?
Well, I can answer that question, but I want to make an announcement at this point that's really important. I have been so impressed with Kimmy that I asked her if she would be a contributor to Hub Radio Phoenix from the great state of Florida, because a lot of good things are coming out of Florida, and she has agreed to be a member of our contributing staff.
Thank you, Kimmy Gonzalez. Thank
And so
you.
My pleasure.
We're so
Yes.
happy to do that. And for those of you that are out there listening, I'm looking for people from all. How many states was it? 57 that Obama said.
And he still has 3 more to go. Yeah.
At any rate, from all the other
I don't know. I
the
think
other
that
states.
should be like the basic. You have to know how many states that you will be
And
representing.
if you don't know how many states we have and how many, if you can't count to 50 on of the flags on our stars, you need to go back.
The stars on our flag.
The flags on our stars.
Hey,
yes.
Kimmy, I'm curious. Did you see what happened recently with the America First event that was to take place in Anaheim, California? Did you read about this?
Oh, yes. Yes.
How crazy. Ron, you saw this. So they set up a venue, a private venue to come into, and the city of Anaheim says, no, it is not safe. They don't believe in the same things that are values that we have here. So they cancel that event. They get another venue, private venue, and they convince them to cancel it as well. What the heck is going on?
Well, they don't call it the People's Republic of California for nothing.
But it's Anaheim.
Well, that's in California, last I knew.
Yeah, it is in California, but Anaheim is the home,
The home of Disneyland, the People's Republic of Disneyland.
Yeah, now
it never used to be while Walt was alive,
You know,
but it has become the People's Republic of Disneyland.
Back there, if you knew it said the Disney name on it, you said, you know what?
It
I can trust it for my kids. Nowadays, not so much.
No.
And that's a shame because, and you know what drives this? It's the same thing that's driving all of this.
Money.
It's all about money. And I'm the other way around. I kind of think, if you build it, they will come. If you Disney would have no problem with money if they stayed with their original plans and their original love of family values.
Kimmy, I'm curious. How do you feel? It seems to me that all of these big corporations now are not focusing on serving the people, but on social changes. They want to be in a position that they can move people in one social aspect or another.
Oh, yes.
What's going on with that?
It's the woke crowd, and people don't realize that it's almost like an underground connection of wokeness that is just running rampant in corporations. And I don't know if it's the CEO. I don't know if it's
but it is social. It's social engineering, is what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Kimmy,
I wish they woke up. Can they just woke up?
Well, I don't even say that anymore. I don't say I woke up this morning. I say I waked up this morning because I don't want to be part of the woke group. But at any rate,
Right.
I think Kimmy, we talked a little about this last week. Ray was on his assignment over at the Scottsdale Studios with the rally there, and so
Did you watch the live stream? I did the best I can. I'm not really a tech person. But I know that people were calling in, raise the volume. Okay, turn up this. But did you see any of that on Matt's Facebook page or his website?
Yes.
Okay.
We were just so excited about what was going on in Arizona. It was great.
Yeah, it was a good turnout. Ron, you were not there, but Neil stopped by for a minute. Thank you, Neil. Came by, handed out a few cards.
One of the things, Ray, that
babies.
I did want to talk about that we talked about, Kimmy and I guess it was Josh was here. He left your venue and came here.
Josh Bernstein.
Josh Bernstein. .com. Any rate, and we were talking about the president, not the.
Not the resident in chief.
Well, I call him the Pino, the president in name only,
yes.
Pino.
Yes.
And any rate, at the end of President Trump's speech, he did say that we were beginning to have a total realignment, and Kimmy was there, and that realignment was quite potent. He said that it is now the large corporations that are backing the Democrats, and the Republicans are becoming the party of the people.
Right.
And
Now you're talking about when Donald Trump was speaking at CPAC.
At CPAC.
Yeah.
And I think we're beginning to see that because as we go around here and we begin to see these massive numbers of people that are beginning to turn out to different events, and we have more Republicans signing up for precinct committeemen. All of the venues, more and more people are becoming pretty fed up with what's happening because, quite frankly, as Ronald Reagan said, we're one generation away from losing our
right.
republic. He didn't
right.
say our democracy. He said a republic.
Yeah.
And that's true. So we were really pleased to see that. And I see this more and more every day where people are they're quite angry. And that's a good thing, actually. And I think this realignment is also a good thing. Democrats used to be, and when I was a young lad, my grandparents were all Democrats. I said, you don't know what Republicans do. They'll just run over you. And today I'm sure my grandparents would be Republicans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they're for the people, and that's one of the important things. I know there'll be people that will disagree with that, but I mean, Kimmy, one of the things that I'm really pretty frustrated with, and we talked to this last week, but I am really, really, really concerned that even the Republicans are not making a big lot of noise about these people that are sitting in the jail in Washington, D.C.
Oh, definitely.
And Ray got a chance to listen to. I don't know that you got to meet her, and that was Jake's mom gave a speech.
Yeah.
And we're going to still try to have her on the show. We've had trouble getting a hold of her, but we're going to try to get a hold of her and have her on the show here.
Kimmy, I'm curious about something. So you had 9 events going on. So now that they're over, can you look back and say, okay, when we did these events, here's the impact that was made. Here's the response that we've heard from the Republicans. Where do we sit in the progress that was made from these events?
We are still waiting for a response from our Republican leadership. Still waiting for AOC to make a visit to the prison because she went to the border to look at children in Biden cages, but she hasn't gone to the prison to see how our brothers are being treated behind bars and beaten and abused and so forth. So we still haven't gotten a response in that sense. What I have seen, the impact, is the number of people that are stepping up, the number of our everyday citizen that is growing sick and tired of this. And they came out on Saturday. We saw our numbers, I would say our numbers tripled in D.C. from the rally that we had in front of the Department of Justice just the month before. We had a larger crowd, and it was very impressive. And it makes me think the right side has always been referred to as the silent majority, and in a way, that's what the current administration wants the right side to be,
right.
Silenced. But that silent majority is now starting to find its voice. And it's happening, and we just have to keep chipping away at that. And that is something that Matt spoke about at the rally in D.C., is that we must embrace community organizing. We must get involved.
Right.
Because they just want us to be quiet. They want us to be quiet and stay in the corner.
Kimmy, I was here. We have 4 Republican representatives in a state that is a majority Republican state due to some real tricky redistricting back about 10 years ago. But one of the things that we have a couple of representatives that are always there. Paul Gosar was at this rally. He is a marvelous representative.
Yes.
He's really a person of the people. And I think so is Andy Biggs. But how many of the other venues that you had this weekend actually had Republican congressmen or senators at those activities, or governors for that matter?
None, except for Arizona, where, like you just mentioned, Congressman Gosar. And Congressman Gosar, I would even say, in our June rally at the Department of Justice, where we reached out to just name after name after name, congressmen, senators, please come. If you can't be there, if you can call in to our crowd, we will work with you. And Congressman Gosar not only was there in person at the Arizona rally, but in our June rally, he was able to call in and address the crowd. So, I think back to the letters that have been sent from our congressmen, from senators. I know there was a letter that was written in June, and it's going to take more than just simply writing a letter from the safety of your office, from sitting behind your desk. You're gonna have to step out and help us fight this.
Well, I would like to see those people that we have elected to a political office, very high political office,
Ron, I'm curious
to step forward in this case.
I'm curious, and I want to hear Kimmy's view on this as well. So we have 50 states, and they are all sovereign, and together they create the federal government for specific purposes. So our state legislatures, and we had one of the candidates who's running for governor, we'll probably have him on the show, Brian Mache. He stood up there and he called upon the governor of the state of Arizona, as well as the attorney general, and for that matter, governors and attorney generals from the other states, to demand the return of our citizens. Now, Jake, Kimmy, I think you know this. We interviewed Jake back, about 9 months ago.
Jake's the shaman, the guy with the buffalo horns.
At one of our events, highly intelligent guy, very well-spoken and outspoken, and he was no threat at all. He doesn't appear to be a threat. He has attended almost every single one of the events out here. You see him everywhere. Never called for violence, never did anything like that. And I'm just wondering, is your organization, I know that it's focused more on election integrity, but for now, when we're focusing on the people that are being held really against their constitutional rights, are you looking more towards the federal elected officials or more towards the state elected officials, or maybe a combination of both, to really stand up and say, look, he is a citizen of our state. How do we bring him back?
Both. We are definitely focused on both. Leaving no stone unturned, I guess, is the best way to describe it.
Okay, well, we hear our music playing, and Kimmy, we just sure appreciate you. I know it's late there. It's already 10 o'clock in Florida. She's had 2 absolutely busy weekends.
Yeah.
So we'll be in touch with you real soon. The follow-up. Folks, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you. You're watching Hub Radio, and we will see you on the other side. Don't go away.
Kimmy Gonzalez, look up.